Will Freemen, RevolutionaryLifestyleDesign.com, talking to you today about why there is no such thing as doubt, only counterfaith. What I mean by that is you are always believing in something. If, for example, you believe it is not possible for you to hit your income goals, what you are believing in is that it's only possible for you to make $4,000, $5,000 a month, whatever it may be. If you're believing that you can't hit your goals with women in terms of the kind of girlfriend you want, what you're believing in is I'm only capable of hitting the goal of being with this type of woman that I've already been with, who perhaps is not as attractive or charming or all these different things as the kind of girl that you want. Physique goals. You might say, it is not possible for me to lose weight. It is possible for me to just stay at this weight, or maybe I could lose 10 pounds, but I have some kind of glandular issue that I couldn't solve with T3, and it's just not possible. Or, I'm too old, I'm 45, I can't do it. Or you believe it's possible for other people to lose weight, but you just have betrayed yourself so many times trying that you don't believe it's possible for you. Same example with, it's not possible for you to become a rocket scientist. Now that's usually true, okay? I'm not going to be able to become a rocket scientist no matter how hard I tried, or play in the NBA, or do any manner of things. So there is a benefit in not believing in certain outcomes and believing in other outcomes. This is where I disagree with a lot of the personal development gurus who are always talking about limiting beliefs, right? Like your beliefs are limited, you can do anything. That's not true. But in my opinion, you can do a tremendous amount more than you think you're capable of. You can have a killer physique. If you are at least decent looking, you can get very attractive women. You're going to have to use social media, blow up your social media, have people sliding into DMs, get you some clout online or offline, practice your charm, all these things, run a ton of volume. I've seen it. I've experienced that with my clients. Most of them are better than average looking, but you get the idea. In regards to income, I think anybody with above an average IQ can do 7 figures. All you have to do is insurance or real estate and go hard as hell on selling, and then hire people do the same thing. Nowadays, you can just buy a course and it's going to teach you exactly how to scale your real estate or insurance business. You can have all the game frame mapped out for you in hyper-specific and a mastermind group and all these different things. And I think 8 figures is possible for a lot of you watching this video, because I would like to think my audience is sharper and already more successful. You're probably already doing 6 figures. So I've seen this with a number of my clients, and when you approach these things with a gun to your head, so to speak, and you're dead serious about it, the amount that you can do in a decade is incredible. And I talk about this a lot in my Life Game course, How to Play the Game of Life, about setting those decade goals and then linking them all up with the yearly goals. So you've got a goal for this year, every goal for the subsequent years across your health, wealth, income, relationships, where you want to live, all these different things. But it can't be done without faith. And I have a close friend of mine who slips into doubt a lot, what he thinks is doubt. But what it actually is just counterfaith. He's more believing that the bad thing will happen than the good thing. And that's an easy position to take, because a lot of bad things happen in the world, and to get the good things, it is much harder. And it usually requires massive action in any of the goals that you feel is worth achieving. Health, wealth, relationships, anything like that. You've got to do a lot of work, and you probably have to do a lot more work than you originally thought. I've never got into a business and it was easier than I thought. It was always worse. Everything that I've achieved every goal that I've achieved was always harder and worse than I originally thought, even when I planned it out conservatively. Even when I said, okay, this amount, of leads, worst case scenario, we'll get this, planning for having abundance of leads, it's always worse. But it's always been doable. It just took more outcome. And usually that's hiring people, paying more money, etc. Can be done. So it's very easy to be in the negative because it is very easy for things to go negative in life. In my opinion, we're in a fallen state between heaven and hell. This realm is corrupted. Whether you believe in the creation theory, at the end of the day, you can think of it as a metaphor of we're somehow seduced into this realm from our true heavenly state, in my opinion. And it is corrupted. I don't think this was the original design of the realm. And the realm is, I think, a mix of, we're sandwiched between heaven and hell. I do think those are real places after watching maybe 1,000 near-death experiences of people that died. And you can see that in my life game course. I have a lot of instruction and links to those. And I think this realm is 50-50, good and bad, pleasure and pain. And below in the hell realm was 100% pain, and above is 100% pleasure and love. If you're agnostic, if you don't believe, that's fine. You can just, negate that piece of information that I gave you, but at least you can understand logically and objectively that this world, I think, is equal parts pleasure and pain. Now, that doesn't mean that your life has to be equally pleasure and painful. There's people that are born with horrendous conditions and live a life of massive suffering. And then there's the Justin Biebers who did some songs on MySpace and got massive fame and money and girls and all these different things from it. So it's not distributed equally across all people, but it is a mixture of those two things. And because of that mixture, it tends not to be easy to get the things that you want. And everyone else wants the things that you want, so there's a lot of competition for them. So it's very easy to have counterfaith in bad things happening, because it's something you see so frequently. And winning at any of these objectives or games is defined by most people losing. Otherwise, the win wouldn't have any significance. It wouldn't have much of a significance to have $10 million if everyone had $10 million. It wouldn't have much of a significance to have a beautiful girlfriend if everyone had that. It wouldn't have, in any of the games that you want to play, it wouldn't have the same level of significance if it were easy. And that's a big part of the problem for people who tend towards negative beliefs, is they look around at their external reality, and most of the people around them don't have the things that they want. Which is why I think it's beneficial for guys to have a winners group like we do in the RLD Brotherhood, where everyone, I think, is doing at least 6 figures. We've got 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, decamillionaires in there. Everyone's, looks good, successful with women, all these things, to just have that absorbed in your reality. revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/brotherhood is the way to get in there. It's a lifetime membership. And so you've got to have an external reality. If you can't, if you're not ready for the group or whatever, you want to have your external reality then be from YouTube videos like this, right? To where the only information you're consuming is about guys winning at the specific goals that you want. So that becomes part of your reality. And then those guys, become the guys in your imaginary audience, as opposed to the fucking normies you grew up with who think that nothing's going to work, who live in counterfaith, who live in faith of the negative, who live in, I need to keep this $60,000 a year job because it's too risky to do a business. So they believe that their life is better taking 0.1% or 1% of someone else's revenue, because that's what working a job is, versus taking the shot of doing something where they can have 100% of the revenue. They believe more that is a better scenario for them. Even though $60,000 in America, if you're living in America, is not close to enough, especially if you want to have a family. You need to be doing 250. That's still a better scenario because their faith is so low in the positive scenario. But that doesn't mean that they doubt. It means their faith is just high in believing that this average ass job and mediocre life is the best scenario for them. And that comes from a lifetime of choosing to have faith in the negative, in the mediocre, choosing to accept the external influences around them that are reinforcing them to have faith in that narrative. As opposed to, let's say, someone who grew up old money with a lot of wealth, everyone around them has $20 million, $30 million. It is only natural for them to think that they're going to be able to achieve that. Now they get a lot of help from their parents and they get investments and trust funds and all these things, so it's a lot easier. But, at the end of the day, even if they do get their parents investing in a deal or a trust fund, well, they can't multiply that money without faith, right? And people from successful families tend much more often to be more successful. There was a big issue in the election where, they were saying Donald Trump wasn't self-made, and I don't mean to bring up politics at all. I'm just using this as an example because he got $5 million from his father. Now that's true. If you get a $5 million loan from your dad and all this game, who is a successful real estate developer, it's hard to say you're self-made because you got this free mentorship from someone who's very successful in the field that you wanted to get into, and you got a $5 million head start. That being said, he still had to take $5 million and turn it into however many billions he has now. And you can't do that without faith. And so, yes, rich people or rich children get free mentorship and they get a certain amount of money to play with. And I'm not talking about their inheritance. I'm talking about what they're able to make before their parents die. And there are some rich children that don't amount to much, but their probability of success is something like a 10,000% higher than the average person. And a lot of that's just from their mindset and the external influences, and that they have faith in getting this positive outcome. Because even if they get money from their parents, you can't turn that into more money without faith that it's going to be the outcome. And I can't stress how important that is. And, if you're coming from the middle class or the lower class like I am, you have to be exceptionally, the further down you're coming, the stronger your faith has to be, because you're constantly being reinforced by these negative external outputs. And who am I to get all these things when I come from a trailer park or a single mother or however you grew up? So anybody that's successful has an exceptional amount of faith in the positive and exceptionally low amounts of faith, counterfaith, in the negative. It is not possible at all to have success in any goal without a strong amount of faith. There is no way Michael Jordan could have been Michael Jordan if he had a tremendous amount of counterfaith in the negative. So I just want to reinforce, the mindset shift. And the way you do that is to stay aware as much as possible during the day, and whenever you catch yourself in a negative thought, and that's frequent, because we don't control our thoughts per se. We control what we do with them. You will have an intrusive negative thought come into your head without thinking about it. Oh, this thing could go wrong. Which I personally believe is demonic. I believe that Satan is the accuser, as his original Hebrew name meant, and he speaks all tongues, and that means he speaks to you in your own voice. Sometimes it's someone else's voice, and you have an audible thought in your audible narrative that's sort of going off throughout the day, and it's a dagger, and it's trying to convince you to have faith in something bad happening. instead of having faith in something good happening. So what you need to do with that thought is either ignore it and go back to focusing on your objectives to hit your target, or if it really stings you, you have to think about, okay, is that objectively true? The answer is always no. And how would I solve that? That's the reframe. Okay, how do I make sure I'm going to get it? All right, I'm going to do 10x more cold calls. And what if this business doesn't work? Well, I'm going to do the next one. And how would this business fail? Well, it's only going to fail when I blast every single marketing channel, I reinvest every dollar, I put another 50K behind that, I max out what I can get from that state, and then I move to every single other, 51 states in America, right? You logically go through it with, will it fail if I take this amount of action? And then you start to get to the real meat of it, and you're like, okay, do I have the balls to take that amount of action? And then you go back to the target, be like, am I serious about that target? Okay, yes, I'm serious about it. All right, so this is what it might take, and I'm willing to do that. This is what it would take for sure to do it, and I'm going to be willing to do that too. So I'm going to test it out as it is right now, and then if that doesn't get me to where I want to be, I'm going to add 2x more action, 3x more action, 4x more action, 5x more action, 6x more action. And every day along the way, when I'm getting hit with counterfaith, to be tempted and seduced into believing in something negative, or being accused by the deceiver and the father of all lies that I myself am not worthy enough to have the good things, I'm going to reframe it with the amount of action that I've taken, that I'm going to take, and through looking at other people that have been successful in that and continuing to model their success and continuing to reinforce myself with the positive success of other people, that it is possible and that I just have to take these series of actions and I will hit it regardless. And if I don't, I'm going to 10x the amount of actions beyond that. And I won't stop until I have it. So I'm either going to hit it or I'm going to die in the process. And that's the way it should be. And you should be dying with a bunch of goals on your to-do list. If you're not, it means that you'd given up at some point on future goals, right? I believe that every true entrepreneur doesn't retire, and they're going to die with some unfinished business that hopefully, the people who take over the company after they pass, if you can keep your companies going after you pass, will continue on with those projects. I would like RLD to live beyond me, and I am mentoring people currently for that specific role. I would like people to be continuing to study the materials. Once these courses are finished, I'm going to put them together in RLD University. And to me, it's lifestyle design systemized, which was my original goal when I started this thing in 2012, after maybe a decade of study and practice, and to have that put out there and hopefully put out there for hundreds of years. And that's the target, right? It's one of my targets. And at some point, you just die along the way, but you don't give up the faith. And the more goals you continue to hit, the more faith you have in yourself, the more you surround yourself by other winners, like in the RLD Brotherhood, the more faith you have in yourself. Because you start to see, oh, I fit in with these guys. These guys are reinforcing what I'm saying. They're telling me, oh, I was at your position. Here's what you need to do. You're going to make it. And you're just ruthless with any type of bad external input. You're ruthless with guys who are telling you, oh, it's not possible, with girls or black pill stuff. You're ruthless with Reddit forums saying every course is a scam. There's a lot of scam courses. There's a lot of courses that are just like general bullshit. But at the end of the day, there's tons of decamillionaires multiple seven-figure guys out there. And you don't have to be limited to a course. You can study him directly. You can read a biography. You can study his interviews, right? You've got more information than ever before. And when you're willing to take massive action and you have goals that are achievable, difficult but achievable, and you have true faith, it's absolutely shocking what you can accomplish. And I've seen this year over year with my clients. So I just want to make that clear. There is no doubt you're just choosing to have faith in the negative. And that is, in my opinion, the voice of the accuser who wants you to suffer while you're here. So recognize it for what it is. Don't think that those negative, intrusive thoughts are going to go away, because they're not yours. They're intruded on you using your voice through the father of lies who speaks in all tongues. But with faith, all things can be done. Now, I'm even open to the possibility that there are no limits to faith and that Christ wasn't speaking metaphorically. But I don't have any examples of that. I can't see that. I don't have the strong enough belief to do that. But I do have the strong enough belief to hit these extremely luxurious health, wealth, relationship goals and all these things that I have planned out for the next decade. And I can show you how to do that in the Life Game course, which you can pick up. And that's the key. Beyond anything else, after a decade of having doing this and worked with a ton of clients, is to have faith in the good things and to have faith in the targets that you've set, and to set inspiring targets, and to live for those for the bulk of your working day. You're moving towards those targets. And I think it is not the only piece. A certain amount of IQ is needed. You need the right strategy. You need to take massive action. But it is the most important and most necessary piece, because that's the foundation of the house. Without that, you can't build anything. And the stronger your faith is, the stronger your foundation is for your house. Sorry. So hope that message finds you well. Appreciate you watching this. Much love to you, and I'll catch you in the next video.